Just the real thing.
Raw, uncut.
Monday after the Super Bowl. Ben lost all of his money betting on the Chiefs, I believe, last night. Good to see Ben Samuels. First time I talked to you all day. That's a rarity and a good thing. How are you doing, sir?
Doing well, and how dare you? I would never go against Tom Brady. That's sacrilege. I'll tell you, watching him throw touchdowns to Rob Gronkowski in some red and pewter uniforms for somebody else was just weird. Just weird. I don't know.
You know, I really thought that the Chiefs were going to do them in pretty good. I think Drew asked me yesterday what I thought. I said, 38-21, something like that. Wrong.
I can't decide if the Chiefs just didn't come to play. I mean, they looked out of sync all day, or if the Bucs just had a good game plan and they were to keep it, kept them off balance. But I mean, I don't know if I've seen Mahomes run for his life like that in a long time.
Let me just say, I know he had a cannon. I did not know he had a literal cannon for an arm. So when he's falling down like a foot off the ground, he can launch it like 60 yards on a rope. Like, that's impressive. Let me just say that right now. That is really impressive.
I mean, the kid has a bright future. He's I mean, it's amazing to me that there sort of seems to be a conversation where Mahomes is sort of already entered into the I guess no one can call him the greatest, but will he be the greatest of all time? And I think we certainly saw the absolute GOAT put his stamp down last night.
Have you seen that video of the GOAT, the ram versus the cow? It knocks the cow out.
No,
you've never seen that?
I don't think so.
I can pull it up. It's the greatest video ever. Yes. Let me do this, and I get banned from some platform for showing this, but it's literally the best thing you'll see all day. I can't believe you haven't seen this. Whoop. Share screen. There we go. Okay, check this out. Let's go full screen here. You still see it good? Whoa. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this little guy on the left, watch him.
Uh-oh.
Knock him out. Boom! Put him down.
Yes, sir.
Well, you gotta listen to the sound. Let's see if we back it up here. The crack.
Oh.
So the cow would be Mahomes. The thing on the right was Tom Brady. In case you were confused about what role each character was playing in that video there.
Have you seen that? That kind of reminds me of that spoof video of where they have like this kid who supposedly has like a Make-A-Wish Foundation something or other, and he's running down the field, and this guy on one of the opposing teams just absolutely just clobbers him out of nowhere.
No. I remember the old oh gosh, the SportsCenter commercial with Stuart Scott and the Scott Van Pelt, and I can't remember who it was, maybe it's Kenny Mayne, and they were playing like at the YMCA, the boys club or something, and they were just throwing people's stuff up into the seats. Oh, it was for like 10-year-olds. It was that's what we need to do. We need to have like our own. What's that show with on MTV?
Total Request Live.
Huh?
Total Request Live.
No, the one where they just watch the videos and laugh at them.
Ridiculousness.
Yes, that's what we need. We need our own ridiculousness.
I mean, that seems like what we're going to do. I mean, I just sent you. I just sent you a link in your email that you should pull up here, and I think the viewers need to see it. But while you're pulling that up, I'm going to circle back here and just point out that so prior to last night's.
Go ahead, sorry.
No. Prior to the Super Bowl last night, last night was Tom Brady's 10th appearance in the Super Bowl. Prior to that, the Buccaneers had 9 playoff wins total. And so after they won last night, Brady was in his 10th Super Bowl, and the Buccaneers won their 10th playoff game of all time. I'm going to kind of be peppering in these just ridiculous stats. That's actually like the lowest hanging fruit here, but I'm going to be peppering in these throughout the day because I think some of the things that Tom Brady has done. Another one, by the way, before we watch this video, is that I read this morning that Tom Brady has thrown 11.7% of all touchdown passes in all of Super Bowl history, all time. 11.7% of all touchdown passes ever. It's just stupid. But why don't you roll this clip?
Sound going here. Where's the I can't get the sound going. Hold on. Do we need the sound? Yeah, it's an audio podcast. So
I think the sound would be helpful. Yes, sir.
Sorry.
There it is.
Wish Foundation. Both teams have agreed to come together and have Tommy run the first play of the game. And he got the handoff, and there he goes. Made a little cutback move, and it looks like he's going to go all the way. Look at him go. Wow. This is really one of those heartwarming moments in sports where you just, oh! Oh, my God. That is nuts.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. Oh, man. Oh, how do you find these things?
Oh, that one's years ago. I don't know. Hey, man, if you have enough time in your hands and you go on a deep enough dive in Reddit, you can find some interesting videos. Let me tell you.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Apparently, I don't spend my time on the productive things because I could spend my time on like Wall Street bets on Reddit, but no, I'm looking at GIFs and videos down on some random some Reddits. But to each their own.
Why can't you just get paid to do that?
Because you won't pay me. I've offered.
No. Okay, why can't we get paid to do that? Sorry.
That's not what you asked. I don't.
I mean, you was a plural you, like generally people. Like, why can't people in general, not you specifically?
Oh, I think you can. I think people can. I think I'm just not skilled enough at it. But hey, listen, there's people making some good money doing some ridiculous things out there these days. I don't know. Maybe we just need to get creative and get in the lab and try to think of something different. I mean, I don't think that OnlyFans is the route, but I mean, that's. I mean, for some it works, but there's got to be a different path for us. But there's got to be one.
That unbuttoned button today, so.
I mean, if we want to go that route, we could start. I mean, we could put this behind a paywall. I mean, I could take one more down. But let's keep that. Let's keep that for once we actually have LinkedIn Live. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. Continue, Ben. Now that we're we got things where we need to be. Go ahead with what you're doing. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I got nothing else. That was it.
Okay. Brian Mon, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Many of them do make money at things like that. Yes, bro. Okay. Well, okay. Mon, don't torture me today. I can't take it, Brian. I can't take it. Send me an email. Detail. How does it work? And how does one do this? Do not CC Ben, just for me directly. And I will cut you in 30% of all profits garnered from this plan.
Typical Ryan.
Well, listen, once you watch me do it, you can emulate what I do. And you can actually improve upon it. Is
that like monkey see, monkey do, or is that don't do what I say, but do as I do? I mean, which one is it?
I'm just looking for some money. That's all, really. And if you might beat me to it, you've got to listen. You're going aggressive today, and so it's like, it's just it's an aggressive look. It's an aggressive look. You're kind of challenging me here. It's like, wow. Okay. Yeah. So the Super Bowl. The other thing I thought about was Tom Brady. Let's just talk about this. Can we really talk about why he or LeBron or Jordan or no, leave it. I'll match you. We'll go. This is the nerd edition of the podcast. Also, I did appreciate the greatest press conference response ever to the Super Bowl as your name today. So I appreciate that if no one else does.
Got you.
But sorry, I can't breathe over here. There we go. This is great podcasting. Okay. Let me just say this. Let's put this out there. Ben, if you were, my wife looked it up yesterday. I think Tom and Gisele's net worth is like $600 million or something like that, or $700 million. There we go. Yeah, I can't breathe. How much longer would you work at a high level if you had that kind of money?
So, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that those type of people, they're driven by something else, right? That motor is going, but for something else. I mean, the money is. I mean, I think that like when I say, or when people, when you say like, the money's relevant, or like the money doesn't really matter, like that's one thing. But like when you're talking about that level, like that's a whole nother ball game. The answer to your question is, I mean, I think that people like that, and I think it's tough for most to really grasp and to like, really understand. I think he's just driven by being the absolute greatest and putting the pedal to the metal at what he's done, for this long, and just staying at the top of the mountain. I think there's a high at just competing at the highest level and maintaining that. And so, I don't think there's anything at this point, especially after last night, that he could do to cement his legacy anymore, or I don't think there's like another mountain to climb. I think it's just simply, it's part of like, his identity and who he is. But I think more so for someone like that, it's just, how long can I keep it, keep the game at the absolute throttle? It seems to be, sort of the chase more than anything.
Yeah, I think Brian's right. I think you're right. It's a little bit different when you talk about playing sports, because sports, there's a physical element. So, if you're Mark Cuban, Kevin O'Leary, Buffett, one of those guys, you can begin to outsource so much of what you have to do to make your money compound for you, right? So if you're Mark Cuban and you say, hey, I want to get into the self-storage business, you can spend $1 million to bring in a team to develop a plan and execute the plan, and then to roll the plan out. And all you're doing is more or less kind of monitoring and making checks. And so at that level, it's easy to see how those guys continue to acquire the wealth, because it's easier, right? There's a certain point where you get over it and it becomes easier. Now, if you're talking about investing in risky startups, stuff like that, and then the risk is there. But to buy up businesses and find good managers, they can use the what's the term I'm looking for here? Division of labor, to make it easier on them. For Tom Brady, it's getting fundamentally harder for him each year to stay healthy, to stay in good shape, to take the beating, and to keep doing it. And to me, that's the thing where there is no way for him to make this process easier. I mean, obviously understanding the game and the mental aspect is light years easier at this point. But the physical toll, you just can't fix that. And that's what, to me, is so impressive. You're muted.
Whoops. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that something, doing what he does on a year in, year out basis, there's a lot of routine and a lot of things that, like, once you figure it out, you don't have to figure them out again. But to your point, and the relentless beating, and in terms of like the tax, the tax that it takes on his body just in general. I mean, yeah, he's what, 45?
Yeah, I think
43. I mean, it's remarkable on a litany of different levels. It's phenomenal to me. I mean, because the one thing that I think people sort of forget, or I think it's hard to remember in context sometimes, is that he was never, or has never been, the most talented quarterback on the field, or the most talented thrower. He came out of college. What was he drafted? 199, sixth round. He landed in an arguably phenomenal situation, and etc. But I mean, in terms of, so I think it's interesting, because when people talk about the greatest of all time, I think there's a lot of people that get caught up in like the greatest skill set of all time and have that lead the conversation. And so when you look at it like that, I think you can talk about people like Dan Marino, even like Aaron Rodgers might be in the conversation, and there's kind of a number of other names. But when you talk about, in my opinion, when you talk about the greatest of all time, the athletic ability is important, but the body of work and the accomplishments and the wins and all the other things are more important. And arguably, if someone like Brady accomplishes what he does without the preeminent skill set, I think that is in like another feather in the cap. And so it's interesting to me that, I mean, I think part of his legacy and the narrative around his career is, was he a system quarterback? I think this year he may have disproved that thoroughly. People have talked about, for one reason or another, the cheating scandals or this or that, trying to discount him. I think it's interesting. I mean, I think that after last night, he unlike other sports, I think that he just put himself in another class, completely removed from a conversation. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think, so you're talking about the most talented or the most athletic sports athlete of all time. Well, you got some freaks that have been out there that weren't even the best player in their position, right? So you got some you think like Javon Kirsch or Lawrence Taylor, going back a little bit further. There's just some freaks that are out there that can do things that no one else in the field can do. 6'5" and running these crazy 40s. Hey, well, they're the most talented or athletic from that standpoint. But the game is not. It's not like you're running in a straight line is what wins the race. And so there's more to it than that. And so the game encompasses the mental aspect and all the stuff that goes along with it. And even for those people who are more athletically gifted, there's something about the mental component that they, for whatever reason, can't do. Now, Aaron Rodgers seems to be, his turnover ratio is crazy. So he seems to have kind of the mental aspect down. But like Peyton Manning would seem to choke, from the mental aspect. He would struggle to get over that hump, and so there's so much that goes on. But the other question I have is it easier to be the greatest or a great NFL quarterback or a successful businessman?
Question.
So if you're Tom Brady, all you have to do is focus on being an NFL quarterback. You don't have to go out and get sponsorships. You don't have to get endorsements. You're literally guaranteed a paycheck as long as you're on an NFL roster, and a good paycheck at that. You don't have to. You can hire a CPA for taxes. You don't have to worry about licensing occupation. You don't have to worry about anything. Just strictly being an athlete. In business, especially in a startup, you got to figure out taxes and lawyers and legal and whatever permits, and then you got to figure out customers and marketing and sales, and then you got to be a startup CEO has to take on 4 to 5 hats, especially if you're bootstrapping it. Whereas an athlete, you're only one. You're the quarterback, or you're the wide receiver, or you're the running back. Whereas a CEO has to be multiple things, which makes it harder and more taxing on someone because they don't have all of those skill sets.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting parallel. I mean, it's certainly more. There's more complexity, I guess. There's more
competition.
I mean, is there though? So there's only 32 people in the world that do what Tom Brady does, but there are tens of thousands that really want to. And so, I mean, in terms of competition, like, I don't know. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think it's more of like an apples to oranges comparison. I don't think you can really get there, but I mean, I think there's a lot of parallels. But yeah, I think the concept or the notion that like being an NFL quarterback is simple is not accurate either, right? So I mean, it's an interesting piece of
limited number of quarterbacks get a chance, no cap on business people, right? That would be my point, is that there's more people to compete with, and so you are competing with. So
if I want to start a self-storage business tomorrow, all I have to do is go start an LLC and I'm in business. If I want to be the quarterback of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I have to. I would have had to have that idea really early in life. I'd have to work for years to get there. Like it's a whole thing.
Put 3, something neither one of us are.
It's a whole thing.
Okay, so that's a good distinction. There's certain things about being an NFL quarterback that you cannot change, right? So I am 5'11", 6 foot, depending on what day I've been measured. I don't know how tall you are. So, but we are on the Russell Wilson, Drew Brees spectrum of quarterbacks. Okay, like if we're going to be an NFL quarterback, which means we are Kyler Murray, we would be the fractional percentage of people who make the NFL. So there are things that we can't control that would limit us from being an NFL quarterback, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So I do think there's that. But then another 6'5" person is an NFL quarterback or 6'3" person. But if you want to start a self-storage business, just to use that as an analogy, you have to do more than just get an LLC. You've got to figure out how to market it. You got to figure out how to get it built. You got to hire a good contractor. You got to negotiate rates. Like there's a lot to get that done. That makes, and you're competing with other places that are already in business.
So Tom Brady, after last night, has 32 career playoff wins. The next most is Joe Montana at 16. He's got double the second. He's got double the second guy. Like this is, and we're like, it's not like the NFL is a startup. We didn't just start this league.
So who's more impressive, Tom Brady or Warren Buffett?
I mean, to me, it's no question. It's Tom Brady. I don't think it's a comparison. If I don't think we've talked about we haven't talked about Warren Buffett much on this podcast, have we?
Mm.
I think that would be an interesting podcast or two. I think we might want to dig into his story. I think that it's interesting. I mean, I think that he has become. He certainly has this, the reputation for being an oracle and being the best investor of his generation and all these things. When you look at the career trajectory of Berkshire Hathaway, I mean, it's phenomenally impressive. But to me, no, it's not even in the same conversation as some comparison to like what Brady has done.
I think Buffett's overhyped personally myself, but he would be considered the greatest investor. So I'm just trying to pick Bill Gates, someone that your favorite Elon Musk, someone whoever you consider to be the best, most popular business person out there.
I mean, I think that's the same thing as saying, like, you'll hear some people say that FDR was the best president ever. I think the reason people say that is because he has like the name recognition, but I don't think anybody that lived through his time or anybody that would look at the record would actually stand behind that assessment. It's said because it's sort of nomenclature. Do you agree with that?
No, yeah, he was terrible.
Well, no, but I mean in terms of like Warren Buffett, he's talked about in the conversation of like the greatest investor of a generation or all time or whatever. But I think that if you look at his record, I think there's dozens of names that should be above his. I don't think. He's been successful, but I mean, what's that?
I just picked his name because I just picked it for name recognition.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I mean, I think that when you really talk about it, he's way down the list. But
So from Brian, agree with Ben, and sometimes great players slip from ever being noticed until it's too late, find that peak performance time, and can succeed in business at almost any age. I don't agree with. So here's all I'm teasing out. So it is apples to oranges because of the things that Brian's pointing out. There's no denying that. Again, if you're going to be an NBA player at my height, there's almost no shot, no matter how skilled you are, because those things matter at some point. So there are certain qualities that you can't control that gives you the ability to be an athlete. But with that being said, because there is a larger pool that aren't athletes, you have more people you're competing against. So theoretically.
But also keep in mind that, I mean, to be the greatest of all time, you can be. I mean, think about how many phenomenally talented athletes there have been on just absolutely garbage teams for years and years and years, right? And for whatever reason, especially before free agency, I mean, the greatest of all time conversation, I think it's difficult because there's so many guys that would have had such different career arcs if they had just been on a different team.
Okay, let's pick a few of those as we have the 2021 Hall of Fame inductions. Is this the complete list you sent me here?
I believe so.
Okay, so we got Peyton Manning, Charles Woodson, Calvin Johnson, current general manager. Oh, yeah. John Lynch, who is from the Denver Broncos and Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then Alan Faneca from the Pittsburgh Steelers. None of these names are really surprising. Maybe Alan Faneca, if you're not a kind of a diehard fan, but he was a staple for the Steelers for a long period of time. Calvin Johnson is the one that makes me wonder. I was kind of wondering, would he get in? Because when he retired, it was a little bit early. No, I'm not. Listen, what? When he retired, it was a little bit early. He never won up. I think they may have won one playoff game. And so I just wondered if he would get snubbed. Receivers get snubbed often. Okay, T.O. got snubbed for a long period of time. He's not the only one. And so I just wondered if he kind of gets left behind. But is this his first time in? It's going to be his first time up, huh? Maybe second time up?
Yeah, no, I think he was the first ballot.
First ballot. So I don't know if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I mean, I don't really care. If you're a Hall of Famer, you're a Hall of Famer. But the way they do it. There's all this craziness about it. So Peyton Manning, I mean, he's borderline Hall of Famer in my book. I don't know about that, but whatever.
So talk to me about that actually, because
I'm joking.
No. So maybe you're joking, but there seems to have been this like Twitter narrative that Peyton Manning doesn't deserve to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. When I looked at, when I think about his name, I think it would be laughable if he was anything other than a first ballot Hall of Famer. What am I missing?
I think so. I think if you go back and you look at the sports articles and the debates, there was a long period of time where the Peyton fan base really wanted Peyton to be. I'm talking about the sports media, not the Colts fans. They are what they are. They really wanted Peyton to be better than Brady, and they would really try to pound that home. And it's been proven that that's not true. And so a lot of those guys look stupid. It was a stupid argument back then. It's a stupid argument today. And so I think there's probably a little bit of buyer's remorse there. People kind of went all in on the Peyton narrative. He won one Super Bowl. I mean, he's got 2 rings to his name, but let's be honest, the second ring shouldn't count as like, no. It counts as a Super Bowl ring, but like in the discussion of how many rings did you win as a quarterback? Okay, that ring was more of the Denver Broncos defense. Like it wasn't, he was.
I mean, let's not start like parsing out like, that ring was illegitimate because the defense was
not illegitimate. No. But quarterbacks. Okay, so Brees has 1, Peyton Manning has 2. Okay, if you're gonna. If all things were equal and you said, well, Peyton's got 2 and Drew's got 1, I'd say, okay, that's an improper way to measure Peyton's second ring. It just is like.
So Trent Dilfer doesn't have a ring because he's a garbage quarterback. He doesn't have a ring.
That's not what I'm saying.
Sounds like what you're saying.
Let's strike that tape and reverse it. Okay. Peyton Manning's second ring. We evaluate quarterbacks by Super Bowl rings, right? Marino doesn't have 1, so he keeps getting pushed down the list because he does not have. Okay. Peyton has 2, so he supposedly is elevated. Big Ben has 2, so he's supposedly elevated. Peyton and Big Ben both have one thing in common. There was one Super Bowl that they were part of that they weren't really the driving force behind their team winning that year, that season, that game. And so I think if you're talking about how to evaluate the quarterbacks, if you're going to include Super Bowl W's as part of the criteria, then you can't give Peyton's second Super Bowl win the same weight as you would, Joe Montana's second win or Brady's second win.
So let me unpack that for a second. So let's say that next year Mahomes has 50 touchdowns, lights out during the regular season. They go lights out in the playoffs up to the Super Bowl, and they're just clocking and the Super Bowl. Mahomes throws 4 picks. He goes 9 for 32 for 117 yards, no touchdowns. But somehow the Chiefs end up winning a 12-9 ball game. Are you telling me that in the narrative of Patrick Mahomes, that ring doesn't count?
Peyton Manning did not light it up his last season. That's my whole point. He was terrible.
Terrible. The guy led the team to the Super Bowl. Terrible.
Okay. Brock Osweiler played many games that year. Let's pull the stats up. Okay, I'm glad you brought this up. Let's pull the stats up. In Denver, his last season, he started 9 games. He played in 10. And then he had a 59% passer completion, which is his second lowest other than his rookie year. Of course, the TDs would be down, but his TD to pick ratio, he threw 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Yes, he was terrible that year. That's what I'm saying. Like this is not a hot take like Skip Bayless. This is like what it is. In the playoffs,
I like that. This is what it is.
In the playoffs, he threw 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. The playoffs, they won 3 games, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception.
All right, okay. You might be onto something. I may have whitewashed that. That's possible.
He was great for a couple of years there. That last year he was terrible, and so I'm saying now it doesn't surprise me that there's a pushback on the Peyton crowd because they pumped him up and he got the second ring. Remember, he got the second ring. He's like, oh well, it's as good as Brady now. Da, da, da. It's like no, he's not now. He wasn't then. He never will be. And so I think there's a little bit of folks that are kind of like, guys, y'all, Peyton is. I don't think he's that funny. Can I say that? I don't think he's that funny. Do you think he's that funny?
I get a kick out of some of like the State Farm or whatever the ones that he does with Brad Paisley. What's that?
Nationwide.
Yeah, that I get a kick out of some of those, but I mean, like, I don't think he's like very. I mean, like, no, it's not like I seek out the things that he's on or anything like that. No.
Yeah, so he's okay. I mean, some of the stuff's funny, some of the stuff's not. I just don't. Anyway, so I think that's part of the pushback. As far as everyone else goes, though, John Lynch, Faneca, Calvin, Woodson. I mean, Woodson was a beast for many years, so no problems there. Any problems from your perspective?
No, I think this class was actually the like I didn't read any of the names, and I was like, because most classes I feel like you read one or two of the names, either they're a different era or like I'm not really sure about that guy. This one, like like you just said, I mean, I think everybody would agree with most of the names, and I mean for those that watch the game, Faneca, I mean that's a slam dunk. I don't think there's any question there, so no issue with the list at all. I think what's that?
We need more offensive linemen in the Hall of Fame.
I'm with you. If you'd stuck it out, there would be at least one more.
At least one more. I'd still be playing. I'd be picking up my 7th ring with Tom because I'd have went to Tampa with him.
I mean, that's bold. I think you probably would be an 8 by now.
Actually, I was in high school when he won his first ring, so I'd have 5, I guess.
Don't let the facts.
Facts. Yeah, yeah. I'd have 7 like Tom. There we go. Yeah. Let's just get fired up, baby. It's a comedy show. Okay. Anything else on the Super Bowl Hall of Fame, Mr. Samuels, that you want to talk about?
I can talk about sports all day. I mean, yeah, we can talk about that the rest of the show.
It's much more fun than anything else to talk about.
I mean, once we turn the page to the next subject, it's going to get a lot more somber in here. So,
talk about stats. 19-7 his last year.
All right,
sorry.
I got a question for you. I got a question for you. All right. So if you could pick one sports or one athlete from any era, any sport, where you could make it so that they had a clean bill of health their entire career, who do you choose?
Ooh, that's a tough one. So this is obviously someone who's been injured a lot, and you feel like their career is shortened. Because you say Tom Brady, you just get like one more season. Like that's like one more. He's probably went to those people. He's probably 8 right now. Okay, so Tom Brady gets to him. I immediately think of someone like Eric Lindros. Had a lot of concussions.
Interesting.
God, I'm trying to think here. You're probably gonna say something good. Make me look stupider than I am. More stupid is probably the right way to say that. So even stupider than stupid.
I mean, that's a pretty low bar, but
yeah, you just step over that.
I got two names. I got 2 names for you. I'm gonna throw out one. You can chew on that one, and I'll throw out. This is like my number 2, Bo Jackson.
Okay, so he's too early for me to appreciate. So I thought about something like that, but I would have. I mean, watch the highlights. But okay, Bo Jackson.
Okay.
Sure, great.
So I think there's a number of that are in the conversation. The unquestioned for me though, Ken Griffey Jr.
Ooh, there you go. That's a good one.
You see the kid with no injuries whatsoever. What happens in that kid with his career? I mean, he was hurt there for a number of years there at the end, and he still ended up hitting 500 plus. I mean, but if he had never battled those hammy injuries or anything like that, I think about that actually somewhat regularly.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good one. I can remember Ken Griffey. Chris Sale. Too soon. Sorry.
You need the bum sound effect. None of those. Nope.
Sorry. Yeah, right.
None of those.
I was tried. Ken Griffey, that would be a good one. Yeah, I had to think about that. So why Bo Jackson? Because to me, like I thought about when you asked the question, I thought, okay, and then I thought, why do I care about someone in the 80s or the 70s? I couldn't have experienced it until retroactively. So why Bo Jackson for you?
So, yeah, I mean, I think it's the same answer as like when people ask me who are some of your favorite players of all time, like in the conversation for me is Ted Williams, obviously way before my time. I think there's just an appreciation for the talent. But I mean with Bo Jackson, I mean he's close enough in the era that watch a ton of tape. But I think it's more of the. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I would have liked to have Bo Jackson transition from Tecmo Bowl to Madden '93. So for that alone, yes. For that alone, yes. Could you imagine him on Madden 93? Oh my god. Madden 94, whatever it was. Oh my gosh. He would have been wrecking folks.
I mean, I think he was just one of those guys that, especially with the dual sports, and just a wealth of athletic ability, and clearly ended too soon, unfortunately. And so it would have been fun to watch him run rampant around the NFL and the NBA or the MLB. Actually, he probably could have played basketball too, but the MLB.
So yeah, it's curious because it's one of the things where you go, okay, let's see here. Oh, I got one for you. Make sure I get this name right. It's been a long time since I've heard it. How about? Yeah, okay. Injuries, decoupled career, right? Nancy Kerrigan.
Too soon. Too soon. Too soon.
Why is that too soon? I thought that was probably. Tanya Harding had her goon take a bat to the knee or whatever it was, baton for like 25 years.
All right, so I got one for you. So Tom Brady's threw 73 touchdowns in the postseason as a Patriot. How many of those 73 did the play start outside of the red zone?
Okay, so 73 touchdowns in the playoffs as a Patriot. How many started outside the 20-yard line? Right?
Yep.
I'm gonna say none.
That's aggressive. That's aggressive.
It's like a trap.
He got 10, but that's
yeah. Okay, that's close. So 63 of his touchdowns are inside the red zone in the playoffs. Wow.
Get inside the red zone, you got to put it in. That seems to be has been the secret all those years. I mean, if you think back, I'm not looking at it. I don't know what the red zone, touchdown percentage conversion rate is, but I mean, I just for years there in the playoffs, once they got in the red zone, they were getting 7. It didn't matter.
Well, in last night's game, what was interesting is that if they score on that 4th and 1, I mean, the game's over earlier than what it was. The Chiefs held them on a 4th and goal from like the inch line, and so it really was, could have been a little bit more out of hand.
Truth.
My son was asking me yesterday. He goes, "How did the Chiefs get all the good players?" And I said, "Well, think about it like this. None of those players are number 1 overall draft picks on the Chiefs that I'm aware of. Like the number 1 overall pick, not like their pick." I said, so think about that. All of these players, like Mahomes was the 10th pick. So 9 other teams passed him up. Like the Bears got Trubisky and stuff like that. So, their ability to pick these weapons is pretty impressive, regardless of what happened yesterday. And that's a rare talent, it seems, today in the NFL, to be able to put together a team, assemble a team that has weapons, and then obviously to keep that franchise going along.
Yeah, I mean it's. I think the NFL is the most difficult sport to put together a championship roster because what do they roster? It's 53 active and then like 20 something on the practice squad, and and most of these teams they dip into the practice squad. I think the Chiefs are a good example of they saw their offensive line get absolutely decimated. Between the preseason and the Super Bowl, obviously it's a long time, but I think that 4 out of the 5 starters on the offensive line had changed, and those guys had gotten injured. So I mean, it's incredibly tough because you can't just for as an example in baseball, if you've got a couple of stud aces and some stout power and a couple other pieces, you can kind of like fake it in the playoffs, and if you get hot at the right time, you can like get on a run. In football, you gotta be stacked. You got arguably you have to be at least competitive, if not elite, on both sides of the ball. You don't see very many teams these days that are just garbage on one side of the ball, get elite on the other, making it very deep. I mean, they might win the division, but they get trounced in the playoffs pretty easy.
Yeah, and the thing about baseball that I don't know if I love or hate or not, depends on how the Sox are doing, is if your starting rotation and bullpen gets like red hot, like at the end of August, you're like, okay, we might have a run here. But if you won 110 games and the last month, you're getting up like 6 runs in 3 innings, you're like, yeah, it's over. It's over. There's no hope. It's so crazy how that works itself out, especially now with the 1 game out and the wild card and stuff.
So I'm curious what you think. I've thought about this, or gone back and forth, I should say, over the years. 162 games for baseball. That's a lot of games. Would you advocate for maybe a shorter schedule, or do you like the 162?
Way shorter schedule.
What do you? I mean, so I agree. I mean, do you when you say shorter, do you think like 110, 120, 140 something? Because so it used to be, what was it, 128, and then I got pushed to 142, and then it was like 150 something, then 162. I mean, it started quite a bit less.
Yeah, I would advocate. You're gonna hate me. I would have. Ric Flair. That's a good one.
There you go.
I would advocate for 82 games. I'm sorry, 162 games, all double hitters.
Really? God, I would hate to play this. I'd hate to be a professional athlete. Jeez.
Well, you'd expand the roster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you expand the roster by 10, 15 spots, whatever it is.
But then doesn't that cheapen the product? Don't you have because you have a lot worse players playing?
I mean, the product's pretty cheap now. Let's be honest with you. Okay. Let's be honest, okay?
Fair, touche. Fair, okay. All right. So I'll go a different route. Should there be the DH in the NL? Yes or no?
I don't have an opinion on that.
Really?
No.
Oh. All right. Fair enough. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion. I think it should be. I think there, if you should pick either one, yes or no. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure I understand why the AL has it in the NL is oh, that's not for us.
Yeah, I agree. It's stupid that you have one without the other, but I don't. So I think in college, maybe in high school. In high school, for sure, you have a DH, right? Everyone has a DH. Mm-hmm. And then in college, I don't know enough about college. I don't follow college baseball, but I think they have a DH as well, right?
I think college is by conference and stuff. I don't think it's uniform.
Why would you? I think the whole purity of the game is kind of a silly argument. So I remember growing up, people were like, well, that's not real baseball with a DH. It's like, I don't know. They're playing over there with a DH. It's let me give you an example.
Of course you don't like tradition. What else is new?
What is the game? I mean, what is the game of football? A serious question. What is the game of football? Okay, well, it's 11 dudes versus 11 dudes. And you're trying to...
That's sexist. Me too.
It's 11 on 11, right? Okay, but do you have to wear a helmet and pads? Is that part of the game, or is it the fact that it's a ball and the ball crosses the line at 6 points? What makes football? What makes basketball? So I think when I was growing up, people used to say these things as if they were really profound arguments. Well, it's not baseball if you have a designated hitter. It's like, well, okay, well, then that's not real baseball. But they got all those World Series. I mean, the Yankees got a bunch of them suckers without playing real baseball. And and so is college basketball really basketball? Is NBA basketball really basketball? Or is European basketball really basketball? Do you need a shot clock to have real basketball? So I think these questions about philosophical, what is the game? What isn't the game? It's not like chess, where chess seems to be pretty defined. This is the game. These other games evolve and change, and they change the rule. You can't hand check. Is hand checking part of basketball or not? You see what I'm saying? You can just spend hours on all these debates.
Can we talk about the EPL?
The who?
The EPL.
Oh, I think it's AA. I think it's AAPL. I was like, we're going to the Landman Association already. Okay,
that's far jump, sir.
Far jump. Yeah, what?
Oh, I got nothing. That was a lead in for you. I mean, you're the. I mean, you like Liverpool, right? No, it's Man City. Wait.
Fire it up! Sounded good. Just like that. Cut him off. Wow.
Chelsea. It's one of those. It's one of those random ones over there.
It's the greatest football team ever.
Chelsea. Tottenham.
Why are you the way? Why'd you bring this up to torture me with?
Pretty much just that. How are they doing this year? Are they even playing? For clarity, it's Man U. Apparently the best soccer team or football team on earth is Man U. I thought it was Leeds United, but neither here nor there. So how's Man U doing?
We're in second.
That's sad. Shouldn't you guys be in first?
We were in first. I was surprised by that, to be quite honest with you. The past few years, it's like, really? Yeah, we're 5 points behind Man City. Which thank you for bringing that to my attention.
So are they allowed to have fans at games these days, or is that not happening yet?
I haven't got to watch many games. The ones I have, they haven't. But I don't know if that's all of the UK or if it's case by case. I don't know the answer.
Did you spend the $100 to send your photo in to be at the Super Bowl?
No. Who
That's
would
unfortunate.
do that? Like that's like the rich guy move. Like, I dropped $100. So where you at? In the nosebleeds? Oh, okay.
Well, so not to say this is a accurate or like a justification that you should take, but apparently for the $100 you were put into a drawing for, I think, is either 2 or 4 tickets for the 2022, I guess, Super Bowl, which is where, by the way, do we know offhand?
Yeah, it's in Detroit. No, Los Angeles.
Oh, those are 2 pretty awful choices.
Well, LA's got the nice new stadium, though. I tell you what, we should apply for media credentials and go to Radio Row and do this show live from Radio Row in LA.
I like it. Let's get there. Let's do it.
I think it's a sports show. I enjoy you so much better when we're talking about sports.
If you remember, for like 2 or 3 weeks before we pressed go on episode 1, I said, I was like, can we just do a sports talk show? And you're like, no, I want to talk about energy because I think it's important, or something like that.
You were such a communist liar.
Don't let the facts. Is that not how you remember that? I wonder how it would be if we tried to live stream like a podcast during the running of the Bulls. You think we could set up in a corner and
I think you just strap your phone to your chest.
Well, no, but that way you can't. But you can't interview a bull like if you're running. I mean, you have to stop and
I don't know. I can put the microphone on my back.
Just make sure the microphone is big and red.
Here's our listen. We are talking about running with the Bulls. Although I think you guys said 14 days in quarantine or something crazy. So I don't know. That might be a negative Ghost Rider. But if we go, here's my promise to you. If you sponsor us, we will get shirts made, put the logo on there. And there is a decent chance, I can't ensure this, there's a decent chance that one or both of us will get thrown up by a bull, will become a GIF that lives on the internet for years to come, and your logo will be on that GIF, and therefore you will get free ad dollars for hundreds of thousands or millions of views.
I mean, if that's not a compelling sales pitch, I don't know what is. Let's see the sponsorship dollars. Maybe we can put an ad on the shirt for Trump's CPA.
Oh, gracious.
Wait, is Spain close enough to Scotland? Can we put something like sorry, is that too soon? Did you see that Scotland was trying to bring Trump up on charges for something? I don't remember what. Something unclear what. I mean, at this point, that's actually. Should we talk about the lovely new wave of climate justice and environmental action? I was going to say something. I can't say that on air. Whew. I'm glad I stopped myself. Do we want to talk about it? Do we want to talk about the climate czar, John Kerry? Do we want to get into any of this?
Do we want to ruin the last 10 minutes of this experience? Yes. I mean, we have a pattern of ruining each other's day daily. So, why would we mess up now?
I would like to take a minute since you said that to commend you for something. So this morning I was having a good morning. I'm unclear what happened this morning, but I was like in a good mood, and I was like things were happening. Got some good news this morning on a deal I'm working on. I mean, things are moving in the right direction. And so like, what did I do? I decided to pick up the phone and call you. I unclear why, but I want to commend you because you didn't answer the phone. So I continue to have a good day. And so I appreciate that. Thank you for taking one for the team. I'm sure you were doing something incredibly important with one of the children, because otherwise you wouldn't have ignored my phone call so callously. But regardless, I appreciate that. So thank you.
I was prepping for the first of my 4 podcasts today.
So can we talk about that for a second? Because like I feel like a few weeks ago, 4 was like a feat, and that was like a number. 4 just seems pedestrian at this point. I mean, Tom Brady just won his 7th Super Bowl. I mean, can we? I mean, like, come on, let's go. Like, if you're really going to play the game, I mean, like, you know, if you're really going to try to be this talking head that you keep talking about, I mean, I think we're going to need to see some more content. And not to mention that if you actually put out some good content that people could listen to, you might actually get LinkedIn Live someday. But I mean, you know, that's neither here nor there.
Wow. I'm not Brian Mon, okay? I don't have those kind of LinkedIn Live connections.
Apparently not. Brian, if you're still floating around, if you would impart the knowledge on Ryan or I, actually just me, please, but one of us or both of us or just me, about how you got on the LinkedIn Live, how you cracked that code. That seems to be a tough cookie. Although, by the way, you seem to have some amount of social media clout on some level, because you got a Clubhouse invite before I did. What's that about? And where is mine, by the way?
Clubhouse?
Yeah. What did I do? What did I do now?
I don't know. It's about Andrew Luck coming back to the Colts, I think. Clubhouse. Yes, I am on Clubhouse. Do you want to invite? Okay. Small fee.
Yeah, just put it on my tab.
I'll send you an invite right now.
So
you're not gonna like it. You're not gonna use it. But I'll send it to you.
I mean, that's probably true. Probably both those things are accurate.
There you go.
Have you been on it? Have you used it much or at all? Or
yeah, I've got like 7 million followers on there. It's pretty cool.
Seven? That's it? You slacker.
I don't have anything. I've been on there. I listened to one talk the other day. It was pretty interesting. We should do this show on there now that you're finally with the rest of the elite. So it's good to see you on there. I'm glad to be the one to let you on.
Hey, listen, I gotta throw you a bone every once in a while. I appreciate that. Thank you. I could have gone a bunch of different routes, but you were the only one that I would actually follow through. So thank you for that.
Yeah, nice to be the one to let you on. Okay. Yeah, we
I mean, listen, Brian. I just call it like I see it. I don't even call that burning him. I'm just spewing facts.
Monday.
I'm just letting facts speak for themselves. If they happen to be slanted in one direction or another, that's on Ryan.
Oh, gracious. All right, Mr. Samuels.
We're not done yet.
Okay, keep going.
No, we're not done yet. We have another like 8 minutes to wax poetic about something about sports. Actually, by the way, if I may, if we can just like rebrand this as a sports talk show, like we should probably do that, because this was a lot more fun than the other one. So I didn't have to listen to you talk about Trump. I didn't have to listen. I didn't have to think about what Janet Yellen is trying to do behind the scenes, like looking at the money counter. Like I didn't have to talk about John Kerry. Since like people that tuned in probably want to hear something energy related, or at least I'm going to tell myself that. So I don't know if you saw, but did you happen to listen to John Kerry's press conference that he gave? I think it was on Wednesday of last week, if I'm not mistaken, where he sort of set the table for what he was going to do and kind of talked about some of the things coming down the pipe. Did you happen to catch that?
It was at the one where they asked him about how he justified. Okay, I heard that clip. That's it. But I'll let you go ahead and.
No, actually, it's funny you say that because that's actually the clip that I want to talk about. So I think that there's one of the things that I think you and I are going to get into as the weeks progress, and so we certainly did, when Trump was in office. But I think
you just said this was a sports show. Now you're going
right.
Gary.
That's true. All right, yeah, you're right. Okay, so okay. What I was going to say is I was going to bring it back into sports, but you're right. I won't go there. But I have. So let me say this. I have been waiting for a number of weeks because so you put on LinkedIn that I had a newsletter coming out, and I haven't written anything for like 5 weeks. I have finally decided.
You published a spectacular piece for the War Room newsletter.
That is true. I wrote on your platform before mine. That is accurate. But I finally decided on my first piece that's going to be coming. I decided I don't like. We talked about this off air. Don't like the Energy Brushback name. That's not important. Haven't figured out what I'm going to call this thing yet. It might just be the Don't Let the Facts podcast newsletter or something to that effect. But I've decided that I'm going to write about. I know what I'm going to write about first, so we can expect to see that. I think I owe or I have an article coming out for the War Room next Monday, so a week from today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, the 1st and 3rd, the 15th. So yeah.
Yep. So we and then most likely the week after that, the first newsletter of mine will be coming out. So I'm excited about that. But what was I going to say? I had a sports point. I was gonna bring it back, but now I got lost. I started talking about newsletters, and now I'm like way over here somewhere. What are you laughing at? What you got?
I'm just letting you just spin the yarn.
I might be done now. I might be out of words.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe we should rebrand this. Not just sports, just life, just a life show. We talk about.
I'm actually not sure. Do I want to sign up with you? Like, does it link? Does this mean that I have to like? I don't know if I want to be linked with you on this. That seems complicated.
He will forever say that I'm the one who let you in.
Yeah.
You asked for it. You got to use it. Sorry.
Fair.
And then when you give out your two, they'll click on Ben Samuels. So they'll be like Bob, like you let on Brian Mon. Let's say, okay. So then Brian Mons will say he got on by Ben Samuels. They go to Ben Samuels and say he came from Ryan. So it's kind of like my tree of influence here. This is what I'm building out.
How's it going for you? You have quite the tree. Oh, by the way, that Carol Baskin gif you sent me this morning, choice, A+. I think it was you. Here, I'll pull it back up. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's somebody else. Oh, you know what? It might have been somebody else.
Wow, disappointing.
I don't know. It was talking about. It had a picture of Peyton Manning and Eli Manning, and then Carol and Howard or Harold. See, thank you. Brian gets it. That's actually what I was talking about. Like that's.
Okay, well, that's it for today's show. Anything else, Mr. Samuels?
I got nothing.
It's a fun show for once. Nice to actually enjoy the show with you. I don't get that very often. So. And with that, yep, we'll be back next week.